Welcome back to the Hoe Tales podcast. My name is Yurié Collins. This is the podcast where we discuss all things Tokyo and all things being a hoe. Let's get it started. I couldn't help but wonder. 私はhoeですか? Am I a hoe? 私はhoeですか? Thank you so much for joining us. It is June 10th, Tuesday, and last week was the revival of the Hoe Tales live show. 10 months in a row, sold out at Tokyo Comedy Bar. And it was the first time doing a doubleheader in one day. It was on a Sunday. And when the booker at Tokyo Comedy Bar, JJ, お世話になってます, when he was like, let's do 2 in one day, I was like, okay, that's pretty hoey. On brand, I guess. I was like, on a Sunday though, no one's gonna come out in Japan to listen to Hoe Tales on a Sunday. And especially at 5 p.m. because that was the first show. And the second show was at 9 p.m. I was like, okay, maybe 9 p.m. But it's still a Sunday. It was kind of rainy. 5 p.m. I don't know. Bro, both shows sold out. Max capacity. Thank you guys so much. It was so fun. And the 5 p.m. show sold out way faster than the 9 p.m. show. We did not see that coming. No one saw that coming. So I don't know what that says about us as a society, but I appreciate it. So thank you so much. It was so fun. It was the new live game show format of Hoe Tales, where basically I have guest comedians share their Hoe Tales and I ask them questions about it. So it's very improvised, very interactive. That was a lot of fun. We had some super funny comedians come on. We had Dan Wilson, Evans Musoka, we had Kat Randall, Maya Kinoshita, and I think that's everyone. Oh my gosh, John Sabai, of course. So we had this amazing lineup of comedians sharing their Hoe Tales. And then also, most excitingly, we had real Hoe Tale submissions that I have in the form, link in the description if you'd like to submit your Hoe Tale. People who were selected told their tale live in front of the audience. And then the panel of myself and the other comedians, we conducted an interview about their Hoe Tale just to see if there were more juicy details that we missed. Also improvised, also very interactive. And at the end, the audience voted on their very favorite Hoe Tale. And the winner was crowned number 1 hoe in Tokyo and took home a very special prize. The prize was not me, but it was still a very special prize. So thank you so much for participating. I was genuinely so impressed. Oh, by the way, this is an English show. I forgot to mention. Just like the podcast. This is my English podcast, Hoe Tales. If you'd like to listen to my Japanese podcast, it streams every Monday. It's called Snack Time with Yurié and Shota. So head over there if you want to listen to me in Japanese. But this is the English podcast, hence Hoe Tales, the live show, is also in English. And I was very impressed by everyone's public speaking skills. Like, obviously, the comedians, they do that all the time. But the people who submitted their Hoe Tales, so eloquent, so entertaining, so engaging. And the best part was they weren't trying to be funny. They were just telling the real tale. And it was the comedians' jobs to make it funny, through the interview by getting more details and offering some hot takes that were silly, audience interaction as well. I don't know. It was just such a good time. It was, it reminded me why I started that show in the first place. So I wanted to create a safe space in Japan that explores sexuality, that explores things that we all go through as consenting adults navigating this modern dating world. And Japan is a culture that inherently has a lot of shame, a lot of things that you're not supposed to talk about, taboo topics. So I mentioned this before in a previous episode, but just to recap, the reason I started Hoe Tales last year was because I had so many Japanese women come up to me after my English stand-up shows and tell me, Yurié, like, thank you so much for saying what I've always thought. Thank you so much for making me feel less alone by being so truthful with your experiences and making them funny, things that were probably difficult going through them, but somehow you found the funny and it made me feel safe. It made me feel less alone because I had gone through something similar as well and I didn't know because it's not really talked about here. So that gave me the motivation to, okay, let me just lean into this and create something visually provocative poster wise. That's why I look naked in the poster. I'm not naked, by the way. I'm wearing but I wanted to do like a Sex and the City theme where I am the millennial Carrie Bradshaw of Tokyo. So that's the idea. So thank you so much. We're doing it again. We're back at Tokyo Comedy Bar, July 13th next time. It's also a Sunday, and we're doing it twice again, 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. So hope to see you there if you didn't make it in the June show. July 13th, Sunday, 5 p.m. and 9 p.m., Tokyo Comedy Bar. My show, Tokyo Hoe Tales, the #1 show at Tokyo Comedy Bar, and arguably, I guess, the #1 English comedy show in all of Japan. That's cool. Thanks so much. And of course, just like last time, we will be crowning a #1 hoe in Tokyo. So don't be shy. Submit your stories in the link in the description. So enough about that. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about. Honestly, I had a pretty bad weekend. I was walking over here and thinking, oh God, what am I going to talk about? Like, I'm so not in the mood to be funny because honestly, the weekend was pretty upsetting, and I will find the funny. I promise you, because I promise you, this is my vow to you and to myself to find the funny somehow. But I think in order to find the funny, I can't skip the real. So let me tell you the real first, and then we can find the funny together. So this is what happened. Over the weekend, I went to a very famous fetish party in Tokyo called Department H. If you live in Tokyo or are someone or is someone who is interested in Tokyo, you might have heard about this party before. It's pretty well known, and it's held every first Saturday of the month at this really cool venue. It's kind of like a theater. I'm not sure how active it is on all of the other days of the month. I've never been there before, but I knew about Department H. I knew it was this like famous quote fetish party. I don't know what that means. To be clear, no judgment. Do what you gotta do. No kink shaming here in the Tokyo Hoe Tales world, obviously. But personally, I'm not that into, like, I don't know. I don't want to be around sexual activity. So, just personally. So I'm not interested in attending any sort of like orgy type happening bar type places, just me personally. I understand that they exist and kudos, but I don't think that means I need to enjoy them, right? It's just not for me. So when I heard fetish party, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I read more about it and someone had told me some of the quote rules, and you're not supposed to engage in any sexual activity there. So I was like, okay, that's good. And from what I heard, it was a place where people can explore their kinks and fetishes and express them in a way that you can't really in everyday Japanese society. So what I saw was basically just like a lot of costumes. People were dressed very creatively, and, lots of skin showing. And there were some cool aerial performances, some drag performances. I was like, oh, this is just like a party in Bushwick. Like, I don't mean to downplay it, but I thought it was going to be like way more like, okay, I was like preparing myself. And the reason I went is because as the Carrie Bradshaw of Tokyo, I wanted to do some research. I want to know what's going on in the culture. I want to know what people are talking about and doing out there. So I wanted to at least try it once. But at the same time, I was so nervous to go because currently I think I am having difficulty navigating this new I don't want to say fame because that's like such a heavy word, and I'm not that famous, but people do recognize me on the street, and English speakers as well as Japanese people, and I'm kind of navigating myself in the public eye, both as a Japanese person speaking Japanese as well as a non-Japanese person. My other side is American. My dad is white. My white American side speaking English and presenting myself that way as well. Like sometimes I feel like the two don't go together, and that's just who I am. So how am I going to deal with that? Like I said, there's a lot of shame in Japanese society. And when I heard about Department H, my first thought was, okay, that makes sense. Because in a society where things are so restrictive in terms of how you are allowed to present yourself, how you are supposed to express yourself, they say, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, right? It's a cliche one I think we've all heard. Uniforms, school uniforms, that's an easy example. It's not really considered a good thing to stand out in Japan. The word for different is the same word for wrong. So in a country where things are more restrictive, I think it's beautiful that there are places like Department H where people are encouraged to be more free and kind of let loose in that way and express themselves. So I think that's beautiful and that's sacred. And as a person who just kind of wanted to witness this happen, I was so nervous going in because, like I said, as I'm kind of newly navigating people starting to know who I am in Japan, I was worried about my reputation. Like, what if someone sees me here, and what would that mean for my image? Will I lose any opportunity? Will I lose any career milestones that are headed my way otherwise? Again, it was just a party. There was nothing going on there that was like crazy. It honestly felt like a mellow night out in Bushwick. There were just like performers on stage. No one was like fully naked or anything, just kind of like very provocative clothing, So I don't know why I was so nervous, but just like the title Fetish Party made me feel like I shouldn't set foot in here. English Yurié, American Yurié, English speaking American Yurié could set foot in there, but Japanese Yurié, like I was like, will that ruin things? Yeah, nothing bad happened at the party. I just didn't really have a good night overall, so it didn't really leave a good impression on me. And I said that nothing crazy happened at the party, but that was just the night I went. So I don't know, maybe things are crazier on other nights. I'm not sure. Or maybe I just didn't see it happen because it's a really big space, and I was just kind of like in my corner with like my friends, so I didn't really like explore that much. But yeah, okay, that wasn't very funny, but I just wanted to share what happened this week, which was that just in general, even when I write jokes, I think the big reason my English jokes are different from my Japanese jokes are that I feel like some of the material that I am very comfortable expressing in English, I don't want to offend people in Japan with. So that is tricky. It's like I have two brains. And I'm constantly sort of discovering myself, censoring myself. I wonder if this is common among Hafu people or mixed people, just like navigating two different cultures in your identity and your expression. So yeah, comment if you feel like you can relate or some stuff that maybe you've gone through. If you are someone who, like me, is biracial or mixed race, whatever, navigating two different cultures all the time, you're not alone. And I see you. There's a lot of family expectations, societal expectations, career expectations that can be so topsy-turvy. Topsy-turvy? Topsy-turvy. Okay. So opposite from your two sides, right? And I understand you want to be free, you want to be yourself, and maybe that doesn't seem as easy when you are trying to respectfully and ethically navigate yourself within these foreign yet motherland boundaries. So shout out to us. Let's get into some Hoe Tales. The submissions I received from the form that's in the link in the description. If you don't get selected as a contestant in the Tokyo Hoe Tales live show, I read them here in the podcast. So either way, it's a win-win because love is a losing game. Not here. We're all winners. Okay, let me see. The title of this Hoe Tale is Post-Mosh Depression. Here is the summary. After concerts, to avoid getting depressed, I try to divert myself by continuing the night and once got groped by a kid on the verge of blacking out in Shibuya, plus other Nampa shorts. What makes your story a top Hoe Tale? Not sure if it's top, but Nampa stories are daiji, which is the Japanese word for important. Nampa stories are important. Thank you so much to the person who submitted this Hoe Tale. I really appreciate it. Let's talk about it. So yes, Nampa stories are daiji, important. And I'm very sorry that happened to you, first of all. That can be very traumatic. Unfortunately, it's very common. I'm sure you've all heard about this. There's a lot of groping on Japanese trains. Not so much. I don't want to give the impression that like every time you go on a train, you're going to get groped. It's not like that, but it is such a thing that you will see signs that say, hey, if we catch you, you're in trouble. You know, so there's enough of it going on where people are taking precautions. Things like Japanese cell phones, you can't turn off the camera shutter sound, even if you put it on silent. So if someone has a camera in Japan, a phone in Japan, and they take a photo and it doesn't make the ka-chir sound, that means they either like jailbroke their phone or got their phone overseas. Because Japanese phones, Japanese devices, you cannot turn off the shutter sound because there was such a huge problem with men on the train taking upskirt photos of girls wearing skirts, and a lot of them were like schoolgirls. So yeah, like what the hell? Like what? Ew. So yeah, it's a thing. So thank you for sharing your Nampa story. So Nampa, I want to clarify what that word means. Nampa means when a guy is trying to like get a girl, like when he shoots his shot, basically. It's kind of like catcalling. If a guy says something to you, trying to like get your number or get you to like go to have a drink with him or something, that's Nampa. Catcalling, I feel like, is more like when you're walking down the street and some guy yells, hey, yo, ma, ooh, smile, ooh, or what that mouth do, or I don't know, something gross. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if that's actually shooting their shot or they just need to like, it's just like their masculine urge to just yell something at a female specimen. But it's kind of similar. I feel like Nampa is a little more persistent. I have this bit about how like when I got catcalled in New York City, like I did just now, it's usually a guy like shouting from across the street, or of course sometimes they get like closer than that, but it's like that, right? But Japanese catcalling or nampa, they don't yell from across the street. Quite the opposite. They come right next to your face. Like they will follow you. They will walk with you, sometimes like several blocks, just kind of not giving up. And me and Richard made a skit about it. People commented saying that like this was way too real and like way too scary. But we tried to make it funny, because he's so funny and like he was playing his, like salaryman character. I love Richard. Love working with him. And I've had the pleasure of creating so many funny shorts with him. So if you haven't seen them, definitely check them out on Instagram, his Instagram or mine, Richard.tv. And yeah, so people responded to our parody of Japanese nampa, Japanese catcalling, saying like, yeah, this is funny, but also like really disturbing because it's like a little too accurate. So yeah, I always say that I feel like there's two Japans, one before the sun goes down and one after the sun goes down. There's something about like nighttime Japan where there's more alcohol involved, where the usual like ignore strangers demeanor like disappears and it becomes like the total opposite. I'm not saying it's like complete chaos, but there is a noticeable shift. And I've gone on dates with Japanese men. One time I was on a date with this Japanese guy and he was pounding the drinks. Like we went to Nomihodai, which is all you can drink, which is kind of common here in Tokyo and like other parts of Japan too. And I think I was like on my second drink and he was like on his seventh. I'm not even joking. He was like pounding them and I could tell he was really nervous. And I asked him like, do you normally drink this much? And he was like, yeah, on dates, because, if I don't drink this much, I can't like, get flirty or like put the moves on or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, please don't. Like, maybe we should call it, I'm flattered, but please don't. So yeah, I think going back again to the restrictiveness of this society, we need healthy like doses of like self-expression, right? Otherwise the valve is just going to explode. We need to like release the pressure a little bit in like a healthy, sustainable way. And that's why I gave shout out to places like Department H. I really don't know enough about it. Like I said, I only went that one time the other night for research purposes. And I ended up kind of staying in a little corner with my friends. So I didn't see everything that goes on in that party. But from what I saw, it was, more innocent than I had been warned. But then again, maybe it's not like that every time. Maybe I just caught like a more demure night. However, regardless, I think it's cool that places like that exist where people are not judged, hopefully, to express themselves in a consensual, sexual, whatever, fantastical way. Because otherwise it's just too much. Like it comes out in unhealthy, unsafe, non-consensual ways. So yeah, I think that's what that is. Like the heavy drinking, I think also results from having to sort of, hide what you think so much here and, appropriately express them where it's accepted, in a way that's accepted. By the way, I don't mean to just like diss how things are done here. I think there is beauty in restriction because it allows you to get more specific about your intentions. It's kind of like an improv, right? Like when they throw you a word, it's better that way. So you rather than starting from like no word, you can create something out of like something given to you. Same with like haiku or whatever. I'm sorry to give that example. I don't mean to sound like a white guy telling you about Japanese culture, but you know what I mean? Like the restriction creates more freedom sometimes because the restrictions create boundaries, and within those boundaries, you're able to be more precise with your intentions and your actions. And I think there's beauty and it's very noble doing that successfully. And it's taught me a lot about human relationships and work relationships romantic relationships, friendships. Like, so shout out to Japan, definitely, for providing that discipline, because sometimes we need a little restriction. But it's not good when it's so restrictive that people don't feel comfortable to be themselves, as long as they're not hurting anyone, right? So I think the culture, should I say, of Nampa, the persistence and the noticeable shift, because the person who sent this hotel did mention that she was groped by a kid who was like almost blacked out. So the dependence on alcohol in order to like free your release your inhibitions, to like release your inhibitions. Feel the man grope your skin. Sorry. Finally, a joke. Although it was disturbing. I guess this is just like a chotto disturbing episode. Maybe that's going to happen. I'm trying to keep it real. Thank you for bearing with me while I'm navigating. I've used that word so much today. Jeez. What am I? Google Maps? As I figure out what this podcast really is, I'm trying to keep it real for now and see how that turns out. So thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for the submission. Also, please send yours. I increased the max characters because I realized I think it was a little too low. Some people were saying, my bad. Don't worry about making it funny. Just make sure it's something you want to share and something that you want me to talk about here on the pod, as well as perhaps inviting you to share it in front of a live audience at the Tokyo Hoe Tales live show, where there it will definitely be funny because it'll be me and the other comedians digging deeper behind this story, and you're telling it because it's fun for you. So I probably won't select stories like this to be on the show, because the show, I want it to be like more uplifting, but these serious topics need to be discussed, and I welcome them wholeheartedly on the pod. So thank you so much for sharing. And I think that's it for today. Thank you for bearing with me. And I have some shows coming up that you should check out. We have Stuck in Japan, which is my lineup show, my English lineup show. That is on June 24th, Tuesday at 9 p.m. at Tokyo Comedy Bar. We have a great lineup of comedians. I'll be emceeing. That's always fun. Also, I have a solo Japanese show on June 22nd. That is a Sunday at 5 p.m. at Tokyo Comedy Bar. The Japanese shows I like doing in the afternoon because, I don't know, Japanese people, they like seeing comedy in the afternoon. It's a whole thing. Like Manzai, that's in the afternoon, sometimes in the morning. So I like to schedule Japanese shows like kind of in the afternoon. So if you speak Japanese or whatever, if you want to come to the Japanese show, it's on June 22nd. And I have a great opener for that as well. Okay, thank you so much for stopping by. This was Tokyo Hoe Tales, the podcast where we discuss all things Tokyo and all things being an ethical hoe. I'll see you next Tuesday. My name is Yurié Collins. Thank you so much. Arigato. Bye. I couldn't help but wonder, 私はhoe desu ka? Am I a hoe? 私はhoe desu ka?